at the department for the implementation of this software or this portal, and there's an internal component too to this. So with so the portal and this system that we call CFIS, Community Funding Information System. Just to give a little bit of historical background before we go into the slides. Somebody has his mic open and I'm hearing myself talk. Okay, it's good now. So just to do a little bit of history. So we've been working on this new system since before the pandemic, probably it's been a priority of the department to revamp our internal software. So we have a software here. It's called LGFIS, Local Government Financial Information System. And it's a 20 years old software that's not supported by security patch from Windows and everything. So it's been on the list of software that we needed to update. So when this started, we were looking at updating that internal component we have here at ELG, but through discussion, the idea of having another external component, which would be a portal where local government could be submitting information through that portal and it would go into our database, was kind of talked about. And I think it was in 2019 we went ahead with starting this project, and then the pandemic hit. And after that, reform was announced, which it was a good thing that all of that happened sort of at the same time, because our old system could not have supported the new taxation structure following reform. So while we were building this system, we were able to implement the things that changed with reform. So we were able to build a portal and a system that reflects today's financial structure. So last fall, we implemented the internal component that we use here. So to support the budget review last year. And now this year, we're implementing the second phase, which is the portal, which is what we're going to present to you today. So you'll be using the portal this fall to submit budget, and you'll see it's pretty, it's the fourth meeting we have, and it's pretty straightforward in terms of how to use it. So Arun Yadav, my colleague, is a business analyst on the project. Hey Arun. So Arun will be doing the demo a little bit later. So he's the one he's doing. So when we develop this, we implement it by blog, and Arun goes and he tests and he does some, he play with it to make sure it meets our needs. So he'll be doing the demo maybe in 15 minutes after I go through a couple of slides. Okay, so today, here's a little bit of the things that we're going to go over. So we're going to do a little bit of update, plan and timeline, and then the bulk of it will be the demo. And after that, I'll have a couple of slides just to talk about how local government can get ready to use this tool. Expectations, so you won't get your user access today, but you will be getting it soon. There's still a few updates that needs to be done before we give you access, but you'll see I have a timeline in a couple of slides. During the summer, each municipality would have access to the portal to see 2023 data. 2024 data, the assessment are not available yet, so it would still be logged, but you would have access to 2023. Some of the benefit of this portal, it's the tax rate management. So you'll be able to use the portal to, you can enter your tax rate. It's going to calculate your warrant automatically. You can enter your ratios, and it's going to store the information starting 2023. Unfortunately, we don't have the information prior to 2023 because, I mean, most municipalities didn't exist back then, so we can't recreate the data. But starting 2023 and onward, you'll have access. In 10 years, you'll have access to the data of today. And so it's all going to be there. In the system, it's going to do calculation whether you balance or not. It's going to tell you what you're missing if you want to balance. Again, everything is going to be electronic, so you won't be needed to sign the budget and send it by mail or pure later. It's all going to be online. You're going to attach your resolution on the portal, so everything will be done through this software. So less paper, and communication will all be done electronically. So again, key objective of the portal, so that it's easy for you to submit our budget calculation. You'll be able to monitor the progress. So when you submit your budget, you'll be able to know once it's approved, you'll get a notification your budget's approved. You'll get everything you need for your budget will be there. So you'll have access, first of all, to your assessment data. The grant number will be on this. We'll be able to put the payment in lieu of taxes that we send you. We can even enter your prior surplus deficit. The cost of assessment is going to be there. So everything's that you need to do your budget will be there. And again, you'll have your monthly payment schedule. So usually in February, we used to send you a big Excel spreadsheet. It's all going to be online now. So you can click and see, oh, this month I got this, here's the breakdown. Oh, there was an adjustment, here's the comment. So everything is built to give you that information automatically. A little bit of a short-term historical background. The way we built this methodology, so the province of New Brunswick rolled out a new accounting software we call Fusion. It's based on Oracle technology, and our software is being built on the same platform. And when we build it, we use what we call the agile methodology. So basically so the company that helped us doing this is IBM. So we didn't tell them, here's what we want, go and provide us a solution. So it's built step by step with us by blocks. So when we started the project, we developed what we call this user stories. So 200, I think, things we wanted to see in that software, and each month we were meeting and choosing, okay, we're going to work on these 10 and we're going to develop it and make it live, test it. So we build this solution block by blocks, and doing things like that allowed us to involve municipalities in the testing, so which I'll get to. So in the spring, we did a survey related to the portal and asking municipality, like, what do you think about this? And so most of municipalities answered it, and we asked some of them to volunteer to be part of a working group. So about 30 accepted. With those 30, what we did is we took a screenshot of the portal and send it to them and ask them to provide comments and see what they think. And from those, we went even further, and we asked for 12 volunteers that would really test the portal. So these 12 volunteers really got hands-on. I think it was in April or May. We created a test environment for them. We gave them a scenario, and we asked them, you need to submit a budget and it needs to balance. So these 12 municipalities did that work, and after that we had a meeting with them and say, like, what do you think, what could be improved or what could be better? And they provided a list of things that they noticed, and again, because we built this in the agile methodology, we were able to implement all their feedback in the software. So that's where we are today. So we think what we're going to show you today is pretty complete package. Not to say that there couldn't be any enhancement in the future, but it will allow you to do your budget next fall. Just to give you an idea, when we ask who could test, we try to add a variety of municipalities, smaller, bigger, French, English. So those municipalities got to test the portal and provided comments. In terms of readiness plan, so we're doing the demo today, and we did one last week too. By the end of July, the plan is to give the main user of the municipality access to the portal. One thing I didn't say is that municipalities will be owning their portal. So we're not going to go and set you up, and we're not going to go and create and remove users. We're going to give you the main user access, and the municipality will be responsible to add more user and will be responsible to manage access. So I've said that in other meeting. This is not the portal is not a toy for all municipal employee to go play on, because you're going to enter budget data on this. So it's probably a tool for people that works in the finance of the municipality. So you probably want a couple of people online, but you don't want probably all your council, and that's not the goal of this portal. So by that time, you'll have a month or two to play with it. Like, it's not going to take you 2 months, but you can go see your data in it. And when the assessment data will be available, that will be usually it's end of September, early October, we're going to roll out 2024. So then you're going to get an email that says, hey, your 2024 budget is open and ready to be completed. So you get an email, you can log on, and now you'll be able to key in data. Again, November 15 is still the legislated deadline for submitting the budget. And when we receive it, after you send it to us, we will continue to review it. But again, it will be done through this software rather than by, well, it doesn't mean that we can't call or have an email, but it will be all documented through that portal process. And then later in January, once all budgets are approved and tax rates are sent to Department of Finance, we will be able to generate the new payment schedule. And when you go on the portal, you'll see your payments. Now the demo, I will leave. I will let Arun take the lead and share his screen. He'll go step by step through all sections of the portal, so you'll see everything today. There's nothing that you're not going to see. So, and if you have comments, I encourage you to put it in the chat. Sometimes usually I can answer it right in the chat, but if it requires an intervention, we can stop and ask Arun to go back, or and we'll have time after if you have questions or if you want to see something else. So I'll leave the floor or the screen to Arun.
Perfect. Thank you, Matthew. I'm going to quickly share my screen here. Started. Okay, can someone confirm if they can see local government finance and budget portal?
We see it.
Yeah, awesome, perfect. All right, good afternoon, folks. So I'll quickly take you through the portal. We'll see how to submit information for your budget. So when you click on the portal link, you will come to a page that looks something like this. On the top right-hand corner, you will see various links. Before you log in, you have an option to switch your language between English and French, and it's just as easy as clicking on the language link. So let's just say if I want to log in French language, you just click on the French link on the top, and it switches your language from English to French. I'm going to click back on English. And when you click on the sign in, it'll ask you for your username and password. So once you are signed into the portal, this is what your homepage looks like. So let's do a walkthrough of the various links and tabs that are present on this portal. So if you click on the logo on the top left-hand corner, it will always bring you to this page. So no matter where you are within the application, if you ever want to come on the home page, you can click on the logo. The same behavior happens when you click on Portal Home, it brings you to the home page. Okay. If you click on the local government link, it opens up a gnb.ca site, and it opens up in a separate tab. So your portal is still open. So if you click on the portal tab, you're back in the portal. Okay. Then we have contact us link on the top. It offers various options for you to contact ELG for any questions. I'm just logged into our test environment, so not everything is populated here, but before we go live, all this page will have all the relevant information. Then, so let's go ahead and click on the logo, and I'm back on the home page. Next, we have the feedback link. So while you're working in the portal, if you encounter any defect or any bug, if you're having any issues, you can submit a defect report right through the portal. Or if you feel like there should be a function that might help you do your job better, or if you think something might help you, you can submit a feature request. And it's just as simple as just say you're working in the portal and you're not unable to submit budget, or you're seeing an error. You can just fill this report quickly, tell us in short, but the issue is steps to reproduce. For example, you went to the assessment tab and you saw this and you couldn't submit it. Take a screenshot, send it to us, and we'll look at it right away. Click on the cancel button, brings you back to the home page. Then towards the bottom, you have various tabs. So we have, let's go through each of these tabs. So if you click on the entity tab, it takes you to the entity page, which shows the information for your entity. So you can only see information related to your own entity. So you'll see on the top, there's entity name. So I'm currently logged in as in a user of the entity Omedovasca. You will see your entity type, your primary contact, your address, all that information. Then if you scroll at the bottom of the page, if your entity has subunits, they will be displayed right here in this column. Depending on your entity, you may or may not have subunits. So if you don't have subunits, all you will see is contacts. So clicking on the contacts tab shows me all the contacts listed, and these are the users that have access to this portal. Okay. And if you ever want to change the information of your contacts, you can just click on the action pencil icon, change job title, and change the phone number if you like, and click on the tick mark here, and your changes are saved. On most of the pages, you will notice exit button. So exit button brings you one level up, so which was my homepage, and I'm back on my homepage. Okay, let's go see what's under the assessment tab. So clicking on the tab will bring you to the assessment data page. And over here, you can see your assessment information for 2024, 2023. You can do a sort. If you click on the column name over here with the arrows, it'll do a sort by ascending and descending. And same thing with the subunits. You can sort them in however fashion you like. If you hover over the column name, it'll spell out what the abbreviations are. So non-residential assessment base with adjustment and heavy industrial assessment base with adjustment. So let's go inside one of these subunits. So if you click on the year, it reveals further information of your assessment data. So here you can see your assessment, non-residential data, your heavy industrial, your municipal. Okay, so if I click on the exit button, so if I want to go back to the home page, I can straight away click on the logo here or portal home. But if I click on exit, it'll bring me one level up, which was my assessment data. And then if I click exit button again, I come back to the home page. Okay, I'll come back to the budgets tab in a moment. Let's go see what's under the tax rates. So if you click on the tax rates tab, it'll bring you to a tax rate page. And here you can see all your tax rates displayed for each of your subunit. You can see your tax rate type, your adopted tax rate, and your adopted warrant. Same idea. If you want to sort them by year, you can click on the sort column name over here. If you want to filter, if you only want to see 2024, you can do a select year and it'll only display 2024. Okay, you can also type in the search field and it'll display the result to the specific criteria. Okay, let's click on portal home and I'm back on the home page. Once your budget has been approved, you can see what your payment schedule looks like. And in order to view payments, you'll click on the payments tab on the home page. And it'll bring you to the payments page. Over here, you can see the payments are displayed by year and they're broken down by grant and warrant and your total. So let's go into the year 2023. Over here, I can see the payments broken down by each month. Okay. If you want to see further details, let's say I want to see the details of January payments, you pick the month, click on the month. It takes you to the month details page. Okay. Click on the exit, brings me one level back up. Click on the exit again, the payments page, and back to the home page. Then you'll see the last tab on the home page is the knowledge base. So this is where you will find the information that ELG has shared with you. So you can come in here, you can either preview the information or you can download the information, depending on the type of information shared with you. If you click on this this little checkbox, it'll display the information in both languages, English and French. Otherwise, it'll only display the information in the language that you have picked at the very top over here. So if your default is English, it'll only show documents in English. Clicking on this displays both. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. Let's talk about the most important tab where you'll be spending the most time is your budget. So when you click on the budget tab, it brings you to the budget page. Over here, you will see your budget for the previous year. They're displayed by year, so you can do a sort if you want by clicking on the year column. Depending on your entity, you may only have general budget, or you may have both general budget as well as water and wastewater budget. Okay. Under status column, you will see what the status of your budget is. So when you see the status budget ready for LG, it means that you can now start work on your budget. You can start entering your revenue, expense, your tax rates, your tax ratios. Once you are done entering your budget information, you will submit the budget. At that time, the budget status will say budget submitted. During that status, you cannot make any more changes because now it's gone to ELG officer for review, and they're doing a review of it. So ELG officer will take two actions. If they require further information, they will flip the status back to that says additional information required. And at that time, you will get an email. So, and the email will say ELG officer has requested additional information regarding your budget. So at that time, you would log into the portal and you will provide the necessary information or the explanation that ELG officer has asked, and you will resubmit the budget. Once ELG officer is happy and they have reviewed everything is in order, you will see a status that says approved by ELG director. That means that your budget has now been approved. Once the budget gets approved, you cannot obviously make any more changes, but you can still view it. So you can go in the budget and you can see what was submitted, what was approved, and then your payments gets generated. Anytime you make a change here, this updated column will show the most recent date. Okay, so let's go ahead and in the general budget and see what that looks like. So you'll click on the budget number, and it brings you to the budget overview page. On the top, it will tell you that you are under general budget. Your budget status says budget ready for LG. That means you're good to go and start entering your information. Displays your budget here and your cost of assessment. On the top over here, you will see various toggles. So if you click on the adjustment toggle, it displays the adjustment information. And then if you click on the toggle again, it hides the space. So it just gives you a bit more room. Same thing for the grant. You can see your core amount, your equalization, total grant revenue, potential warrants, adopted warrants. Okay, I'll come back to the balancing field in a moment. Then scrolling down here, you can see your tax ratios for non-residential and heavy industry. Then if you scroll down, you will see various columns on this page, various tabs. So there is a tab for revenue, expense, your tax rates, your messages. So this is where you will come in when ELG officer requests additional information. There will be a message sitting here under the message tab for you to look at. And then there is an attachment tab, and we'll look at that in a moment. So let's go ahead and see how to submit our revenue line items. So by default, you will have your revenue tab picked up. You can, if you click on the expense, it takes you to the expense tab, and similarly on the tax rates tab. So let's go ahead and enter a couple of revenue line items. So on the very top, on the revenue page, I can see that it shows me my various revenue categories. So local taxes, services provided to other governments, sale of services, and these they're all particular to this particular entity, to Omedo ASCA. Okay, so let's just assume that I want to enter my revenue line items under the category local taxes. So I will click on line ID. So right off the bat, I can see what the previous year amount was. And then for each line item, I can see what the previous year amount that was entered. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter some random numbers as of now. So I'm just going to assume that this year went up. You can enter comments. Just going to enter some random numbers here. So once I'm finished entering my amounts and the comments, on the top, I can see there are 3 buttons. There is save, save and close, and back to budget overview. So let's see what happens when we click on save. So when you click on the save button, all your changes are saved and you remain on the same page. So at this point, you can edit any information or you can add further amounts. Okay. What happens if you click on save and close? It brings you back to the budget overview page. Okay. Let's go ahead and pick another category for the budget line. So going to go under services provided to other governments, click on the line ID. And within this particular category, I can see the previous year amount for the police, for the fire, for the emergency services. So just going to go ahead and enter some random amounts. Your comments. Same idea. If you click on save, you'll stay on the same page. If you click on save and close, you go out. Okay. So I'm not going to fill in all the other categories, but I hope you get the idea. So it's everything is entered pretty much the same way. Okay. So this is how you enter your revenue line items and you enter your comments. Let's go look at how the expense works. So expense works exactly the same way as revenue. So when you click on the expense tab, you can see your previous year amount. And so for me to enter my expense line items under general government services, I'll click on the line ID. Over here, I can see what the last year amount was, and I can see the amount for each of the category under the main category. Okay. Click on save and close. So as I'm entering my revenue and my expense line items, you will see that the amount here will update. So under the budget, you will see there's a field for revenue, there's a field for expense. And as I enter my revenue and expense, you will see these amounts gets updated, and so does the balancing field. So we'll come and talk about the balancing field in a moment. Let's go ahead and enter our tax rates. So for that, you'll click on the tax rates tab. So I'll start with the tax ratios. So over here, you can update your tax rate ratios. You can click on the up and down arrows, or you can type it in. Okay. So your tax ratios must be between 1.4 and 1.7. So if you enter 1.9, you should get a sort of an error message saying that it has to be between 1.4 and 1.7. So make them right. Okay. You scroll down here, you can enter all your adopted tax rates for each of your entities. So for residential, non-residential, heavy industry. So I'm just going to, again, I'm just going to enter some random numbers here. So as soon as I'm done entering my adopted tax rates, and when I click on the save, you will see the amount showing under adopted warrant column. So currently it shows 0. And as soon as I'm done entering the rates and click on save, you'll see the amounts populated. Okay, I'm not going to enter the rest. So let's go ahead and click on save. Okay, so now I can see my adoptive warrant column populated. Okay, so at this time I have finished entering my revenue line items, my expense. I've entered my tax rates. So once I submit my budget, if ELG officer requires additional information, you will see a message here. So whatever they are asking for, you will come in here, you'll click on the message tab, and this is where you will see a message waiting for you. Okay, let's click on the attachments tab. So before I submit my budget, I want to make sure that I have signed and sealed PDF copy of council resolution uploaded. And it's very easy to do that. There is already a sample uploaded here. I'm just going to quickly show you how that's done. So once you have entered all your budget information, this is your last step that you do is you just upload a copy of your council resolution. So you'll come in here under attachments, click on attach file, drag and drop, council resolution, select your file. If you're uploading financial statement, you can do that too. Journal. Write description and upload. And you have uploaded your council resolution. Okay, so at this point, I have entered all my budget information. Now let's talk about the balancing field. So balancing field shows me that my budget is not balanced and I'm out by this amount. Okay, so if I bring my mouse over the balancing field, it tells me that if the amount is positive, my expenses exceed my revenues, but in this case it is negative. That means my revenues exceeds my expenses. Okay, so I need to enter amount in my expense category for it to balance. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll show you what happens when it comes within the threshold limit. So at the moment we have set our balancing threshold to $500. So if your balance is within $500, that means you can submit the budget. But if you try to submit the budget with the balancing amount of over $500, system will not let you submit it. So let's go ahead and try submitting the budget and see what happens. So go back to my revenue. So let's just say I making an attempt to submit this budget where it's not balanced and I'm out by this amount. So if I click on submit, it'll tell me that the budget is not valid for submission because the threshold limit is $500 and this is clearly over $500. Okay. Go to my expense category. Save and close. So as soon as I enter that amount under the expense category, you can see that the color has changed from red to green. So the color red means that it is above the $500 threshold limit, and color green means that it is within $500 and you can now submit the budget. Okay, so at this point you can try to bring it to an amount that you feel comfortable, but it is clearly within $500 threshold limit. So if I try to submit the budget now, system will let me submit the budget. Okay, so if I click on confirm, my status of the budget will change to budget submitted. And at that point, I won't be able to make any more changes because now it's gone to ELG for review. As of now, I can update anything. So I can go to tax rate, make any changes to the expense, to the revenue. I can, if I attach the wrong file, I can work on that. So this is how you submit your information for the general budget. Okay, let's go look at quickly what the water and wastewater budget looks like. There's only one minor difference. The rest of the process is exactly the same. So I'm going to click on exit button. I'm going to come out. My information is still saved there, so I haven't lost anything. So let's go look at the water and wastewater budget. So click on the budget number. So on the budget overview, it will say what type of budget it is. So in this case, it is water and wastewater budget. You'll see your category name. Click on the toggle, get it from previous year amount. And the process is exactly the same for entering your revenue and your expense. So you click on the revenue category, click on the line ID. Under that particular category, I'd like to enter the amount for residential, commercial, industrial. Enter your comments. Click on save or save and close, whichever one you prefer. Come back to your expense. Do the same thing, pick a category. Let's pick environmental health services. $200. Enter your comments, save and close. So the only difference here is instead of tax rates, we have usage charges. If you click on the usage charges, you want to add usage charge. If you click on the tick mark here, it saves your entry. This is where you will see if there's any message from the ELG officer, if they have requested a clarification on any revenue, expense, or any tax rates. You will see information here from them. And that's the attachment tab if you want to attach any file. And the process is same. You're going to once you have entered all your information and your balancing field shows you an amount which is under $500, which is your threshold limit, and this color is showing green, that means that you can submit the budget. Okay, so I'm going to exit. So let's go ahead and submit this budget. So sorry, go back in the general budget. Okay, so the budget is now submitted. The status says budget submitted. If I go back to my budget page, there's a budget here that says budget submitted. This one isn't submitted, so it says budget ready for LG. These were approved before. So at this point, if I go back into my budget, I shouldn't be able to make any changes. So if I go under revenue category, I cannot edit or I cannot enter any more revenue or expense line items or change tax rates. Everything is grayed out. Okay, so ELG officer will review this. At that point,
I'm going to send it back to you, Arun, just so they see when we request additional information.
Sure.
And I'm going to put a message maybe.
Okay, so as you can see that I submitted my budget. The ELG officer did a quick review. Before it was approved, they're asking for some clarification. So I'm going to go in the budget. So what will happen is once you've submitted your budget, you don't have to log into the portal every day to see whether they have requested information or not. You will actually get an email. So once you've submitted your budget, you just wait. If there is an additional information required, you will get an email. And once you get an email, then you log into the portal and you'll come here, you'll click on the message. And here's the information there. They're asking for what day it is. So hopefully the information they ask is just as easy as this. And then you can, then you will come back to your budget and you will click on submit. So let's go back there. back to the revenue, submit budget. Now it should say budget submitted. Say budget submitted. And once it goes through the approval process, it'll say approved by ELG director. Okay. There are a few options listed under the profile. So under my name, there is a little toggle here. So you will see that there are various options listed here. So this knowledge base is exactly the same as this knowledge base. It's just another way to access it. Then you have a link to my profile. This is where you can update your basic information, your phone number, stuff like that. Then you have an area for user management. So each local government will be given one admin account. And then if they want to have another person access to the portal, they can add them. Fairly straightforward process. All they have to do is come under user management, click on create user account. So let's just say I want to create an account for another team member that I feel like should be submitting a budget information. I'll just enter their first name, last name, their email, phone, pick their job title, what language, and click on the submit button. What this will do is that particular individual will get an email. And when they click on the email, there will be a link there for them to set their password. So their username is their email, and then their password is whatever password they will set up, and then they can log into the portal. So you can manage who you want to have access to the portal within your own entity. Okay. And then so once you're done with the portal, you want to sign out, you click on the sign out button, and it will log you out. Did I miss anything, Matthew?
No, I think you covered everything. Just want to get back to the threshold, the threshold thing. So if you do a little exercise on your side, if it's because of rounding. So if you do your warrant divided by your tax base, it's going to give you your tax rate. And then if you take your tax rate and you multiply it by your tax base, you'll get a different warrant because the tax rate is rounded to 4 digits. So we want to prevent that in the portal. So I think the way it's going to work is when we provide you the first page where you provide your resolution, we'll have a little tool on the right to make sure that you're not stuck with some rounding issues. So to help you, I think the best bet for you is to enter your tax rate in the portal first before you adopt your resolution. But we'll provide documentation, but that's why there's a threshold. The intention is not that you submit unbalanced budget, but we don't want you to be stuck with, because of a rounding of $3, you can't send it because it's not your fault. So that's why there's that threshold. So more to come on this. But again, sometimes in the past, some of you were like, why are you asking us to resubmit a budget for $1? That's because our old system didn't take it. Now this one, we don't want, there's cents in it. So we want to make sure that if it's not balancing by 25 cents, you can still send it. So that's why there's that threshold there. And I'm sorry. And if you go back into the budget, I got a question around a file. So if you, I think I'll have to send it back to you, Arun, because you won't be able. Oh, well, maybe you'll open water and sewer. Because generally you won't see the blue buttons because you submit the budget. But you see there's download template and upload template. So you can use it either way. You can. So right now, if you do download template, it's going to give you a CSV file with everything you've entered in it. And if you make change into that file and you re-upload it, it will enter the number back into the portal. So if you have an accounting software and you want to do links to the CSV file and import the file, you'll be able to do that. You just need to be aware that, like, if you add a line, it's going to fail. If you delete something, it's going to be an error. So you need to make sure the numbers are okay in it, but you have that ability to use it if you think you have the Excel skills to do it. That option is there for you. So I think it was when we did the testing back in May, the 12 user tester, that's something they said, like, it'd be great to have an import function. So it's there. And once all the numbers are there, you can use it to download the template, and it will have all the numbers and the comments. So you can use that file for yourself, or if you input the number and you want to present to council, you can download the template and you have your Excel file with all the numbers in it. So that's another functionality that will be there. And no, I think you've covered pretty much everything, Arun.
So while I'm on this, while I have the screen, I might as well share the playbook and the training video, and I'll hand over the screen to you. And I know there's a slide for that. So in case you guys felt that I went too fast today, we just want to make sure that to let you know that there is a training material for this. So we have worked on the training guide, or we call this a playbook. So let me share it with you. So you will have access to this playbook. And this will walk you through step by step what I did today. So it shows you how to log into the portal, how to enter your budget information, how to view assessments. And so I'm just going to open I'm going to go to one of the section within the playbook. So this is what it looks like. So if you want to view entity information, it tells you what to click on, what screen or the message you should see. So there are screenshots here and laid out in a very detailed fashion. So you'll have access to this playbook as you're working through your budget submission. Okay. And
it will be in the knowledge base.
Yes, that will be in the knowledge base. And so just wanted to point it out that there is help available. So, and it's very detailed. Along with this, we are also working on creating some short videos for you. We're trying to not to make a long video and make you sit through an hour or 2 hour of training, because sometimes you just want to know one particular piece, how to do that. So there will be short videos available. So for example, if you just want to know how to view payments, you can just watch a video of a minute or so on how to view payments, or how to view tax rates, and how to enter your revenue line items, how to add another user. So we are working on this, and so we'll have the playbook and the videos available to you to kind of get yourself familiar with the system. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Matthew.
Yep. Before I get back on is there something that you'd like to go back or comment about something while Arun has the screen? We can go back. If not, I'll take over, and I have a couple more slides and we're done. Okay. So I'll just take over from here. So slide that here. So really from here, like I said, I already mentioned it a little bit. You're going to own the portal, because myself, anyone at ELG cannot see what you'll be seeing. So we don't have access to your side of the tool. So I cannot log on as a municipality and play with the number from that side. So it's totally your interface to use the portal, and so it's be up to the municipality to make it your tool and put in place the process on how you should use it in municipality, like who's responsible to entering the data, who's responsible to sending it, who's uploading the resolution. So it's going to be up to municipality to see how you want to use this this tool, so that, because if you have 15 people entering numbers at the same time, it may lead to problems. But the good thing is, in the tool, you've probably seen it, there's an audit function. So each time a number is entered, it says who changed the number. So you know who's the last person who made an update, and you know exactly what line, because it changed the name. So you have that as an audit tool. So that's good. But again, it's your tool, and it's going to be your process. Sorry, a little bit back on the timeline. July, we'll have most of the stuff available in July, as well as your user access. From August to September, we call it self-training period. I mean, you'll have access to the playbook. You'll going to be able to log on. You won't be able to input data yet, but you'll still be able to go in it and navigate. And we call this, training period for yourself. And by September, we're going to send a little survey like how comfortable are you using the portal, and if there are some needs for more training or whatever, we'll provide that. And during the budget submission, I think each week we'll try to have a slot of time, a 30-minute or an hour, that the staff at ELG will be available, that if you have question about how some things work, then we're going to be on team. We can share the screen and work things out. So not to say that you cannot call us outside of that, but at least we want to make sure we have a dedicated time each week. If someone has a question, you'll be able to log on and we'll be there to answer the questions. Again, in the readiness assessment we'll send, it's just to be a couple of questions. It's just for us to gauge where you guys are at, like, okay, we think 95% of them are good. So there's a couple that add a bit of, so then we may need to provide another training once the data is available or something like that. So it's for us to gauge what's missing and what's not missing, rather than planning a bunch of training material right now and it's not needed. So we would just want to make sure we want to make a right assessment of the situation. And again, our goal is that once it's made available in October or September, when the assessment is provided, we don't want 55 calls the same day because there's problems. So ideally, we want to have you prepared the right way before you have access to your 2024 budget numbers and input. And that's it. So if you have questions, you want to provide comment, you can. If you want to send us an email because you don't want to share it here, it's fine. It's up to you. Can we practice our to see if we come up with the same figures? I don't think it's a possibility unless it would be in test, but I'm not sure. I would have to ask IBM to answer that. But I tend to say no because it's locked and it's approved. So we would need to create a test run for you, which would be probably a bit complicated. But you should be getting to the same number, except that rounding, like I said. You could have a $50 difference because of the way the rounding is done. But again, next year when you're ready to submit and approve your budget, put in your tax rate and see the warrant you get at. And if you're off by $10, adjust it before you. We'll provide comment on that. We'll have a one pager and to make it work, but you shouldn't be too worried to get to the same number, because when we did test it, all the testers were able to balance their budget. So any other question or comments? Camera was closed. No? And if so, you get a 30-minute back. So we're getting better. The first meeting, it took an hour and a half, and now we were able to do it in an hour. So we're getting efficient. Okay. Well, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your week.